Hello and welcome to Precon Decon, the video series where I deconstruct the pre-constructed decks of Magic the Gathering's history. We're going to keep looking at Innistrad, and we're going to move on and look at Deathly Dominion, which is a black and green deck. So let's look at the deck list for this one. So we've got 24 creatures, we've got 6 sorceries, 3 instants, 2 enchantments, 1 artifact, 24 land, mana curve off to the side there. Let's dive in, start looking at this spooky deck, which is all about death. So in Innistrad, there was it's not a keyword, it's technically an ability word, but it's a rule called Morbid, and you've got a whole bunch of cards with it. So Morbid is basically if a creature has died and you cast the Morbid spell has like a either an increased or additional effect, basically. So, for example, Skursdag High Priest, 1 and a black for a 1/2, has Morbid, tap, and then tap 2 untap creature you control, you make a 5/5 black demon creature. And you can only activate the ability if a creature has died that turn. So a big thing in this deck is making sure creatures die all the time, and you're getting the full benefit of these Morbid cards. So Skursdag High Priest in itself, I think, is okay. It's maybe a little clunky because you've got to kind of do a lot of setup for it. You've got to get creatures to die, and you've got to have it and 2 other creatures untapped, so then you can make this demon. The upside being is that if you make a demon, you've then got a creature around to either kill off because it's a token creature. You can easily find a way of getting rid of that, or the demon. You can use the demon to make more demons, essentially. So yeah, I think this is like kind of a fun rare. I say a few hoops to jump through, but I think the payoff is pretty good just to start churning out big flying demons to kind of close out a game. Pretty good. Especially the fact that this requires like no mana. It requires a creature to die, which is not hard to do when we see the rest of this deck, and you've just got to tap some creatures. So I think it's okay, and you got a lot of creatures in the deck as well. So yeah, I think it's a good rare. 2 Moorcrux Banshees, so 3 and 2 black for a 4/4, which is, it's just fine anyway. But if it ends the battlefield, if a creature has died this turn, it gives a creature -4/-4 turn, which is like a really big like debuff. So the easy play of this is like you have combat, maybe creatures die in combat, they usually do, and then main phase 2 Moorcrux Banshee. You've got a big 4/4, and then you also kill off another creature. Because this is really good. Like if it was to be a 4/4 and give something -4/-4 when it comes into play would normally make this quite expensive as a creature, but at 5 mana it's a pretty good deal if you can get the ability going off as well. 2 Hollow Henge Scavengers, so 3 and 2 green. This is kind of like the opposite Moorcrux Banshee in a way. So 3 and 2 green, 4/5. When it ends the battlefield, if a creature's died this turn, you gain 5 life. Like not as impressive as the Banshee. Like gaining life is fine, but it's not as good as just straight up giving a -X/-X to a creature. But it's okay. It's still a 4/5. It's still okay. And then we got the more common Morbid creatures, which usually just involve getting counters. So 2 Festahide Boars, so 3 in a green for a 3/3 with trample, which is like I think perfectly fine on its own, even if you don't get the Morbid effect. But if you do get the Morbid effect, then it comes in with 2 +1/+1 counters, and then it's a 5/5 trample for 4, which is a much better deal. So yeah, it's pretty good. So what I quite like about these Morbid creatures, sort of like I was just saying, it's sort of fine to play even if you don't get the Morbid effect, because like it's still okay. They're not like unplayable. They're just maybe like not as exciting or not as efficient. But when you do get the Morbid payoff, then it's really, really good. So yeah, it's not kind of like a trap choice, like or I guess you don't feel as bad for playing it even if you don't get the effect. But I say it's so easy to get a creature to die. Single Somber Walled Spider, so 4 in a green, very similar to the Festahide Boar, 2/4 with reach, and it gets +2, 2 +1/+1 counters if a creature's died this turn. So yeah, coming in as a 4/6 with reach for 5 mana is also pretty good. So then we have 2 Woodland Sleuths, so 3 in a green for a 2/3. If it ends the battlefield, if a creature died this turn, you get a creature card at random from your graveyard back to your hand. So it being at random is not ideal. I feel like this could have just been you get to choose, like like Gravedigger, you just get it. So it being random, especially as you're probably going to be killing off a lot of your creatures. There's a lot of sacrifice effects in the deck, but it's basically fine. It's basically fine, but yeah, wouldn't have hurt. I think wouldn't have been overpowered to make it a non-random. But anyway. So we have got ways, like I said, of sacrifice outlets to make sure creatures are dying. Like if your opponent is not going to oblige and let you kill their creatures, you can at least kill yours. So we have 2 Disciple of Gristlebrand, so 1 in the black for a 1/1. Pay 1, sacrifice creature, you gain life equal to the sacrifice creature's toughness. Yep. Yeah, perfectly fine effect. Really nice cheap sacrifice outlet as well, and he doesn't tap to do it as well, so you can just, if you want to, just pay a bunch of mana, sacrifice all your creatures if you really want to. If you want to gain a bunch of life. 2 Devouring Swarm, another free sacrifice outlet, so 1 and 2 black for a 2/1 flyer. You sacrifice a creature, give it +1/+1 turn. Yep. The fact that the sacrifice outlet is free is pretty good, because then you can guarantee you're getting a morbid effect. You don't have to leave mana open for it. And a single Brain Weevil, so 3 in a black for a 1/1 with Intimidate, which is not obviously amazing stats, but you can sacrifice it and make a player discard 2 cards, so essentially Mind Rot, but only activate that ability anytime you could cast a sorcery. So I think it's a little overcosted, honestly, but I think it's okay. The fact that it's just, again, it can sacrifice itself, and you get a morbid trigger when you need it, I suppose. Speaking on the subject of killing creatures, so Ambush Viper is pretty much always going to guarantee a kill, I think. So 1 in the green for a 2/1 with Flash and Death Touch. Anything with Flash and Death Touch is like always a big is always going to be a winner in my books, because it's such like the perfect surprise blocker. It's great. I really like this. Just opponent attacks, bam, Ambush Viper. Something's dying. Probably yours as well, because Ambush Viper is obviously he's only got 1 toughness, but yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. Really like Ambush Viper. We also have a single Typhoid Rats, which is 1 black mana for a 1/1 with Death Touch. So again, guaranteed kill for your morbid effects. So then we got 2 Lumberknots, so 2 and 2 green for a 1/1 with Hexproof, so it can't be targeted by your opponent's spells or abilities. Whenever a creature dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Lumberknot. This is really good, and I say that from bitter experience. I've been on both sides of Lumberknot, because it's so hard to deal with, the fact that it's got Hexproof. So you got to, unless your opponent's got like so maybe like an Edict effect, or like some sort of like global burn spell. But the fact that this just gets a counter every time any creature dies, it can ramp up like really quickly. And obviously you can still target it with your own spells and abilities as well. So really solid, and especially in a deck that cares so much about creatures dying. You've got ways of, that can get really out of control. So the other row of the deck is Moldgraph Monstrosity, so 4 and 3 green for an 8/8 trample, which is, pretty good stats. When it dies, you exile it, and then you get 2 creature cards at random from your graveyard back onto the battlefield. So again, it being random is, not ideal, but then it's also, it's double, like, kind of raised resurrection, animate dead effects, essentially. It's pretty good. The triple green hurts it a little bit, I think, in this deck, but there is some land searching in the deck, so maybe not so. I mean, at the end of the day, it's also just a big 8/8 trample, isn't it? Well, so like even if your opponent deals with this, you're getting stuff back with it, which is pretty great, I think. Then we have 2 Reassembling Skeletons, so 1 in the black for 1/1. You can pay 1 in the black to return it from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So this is prime sacrifice fuel, like, let's say you have Disciple of Gristlebrand, or you have the Devouring Swarm. This is just, you can keep recurring this, you can keep sacrificing it and getting your, like, okay, creature's died, that's my morbid effects, Lumberknot's going to get a +1/+1 counter, all this kind of stuff, and you can just keep bringing it back, and yeah, it's great. Reassembling Skeleton is like really perfect in this deck, and I'm really happy there's 2 of them, actually, just because it goes so well with what the deck wants to do. And then 2 Warpath Ghoul, which is just 2 in a black for a 3/2, whatever. So it's not just creatures that have morbid, some spells have it as well. So Caravan Vigil is 1 green mana. You search your library for basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library, which is like perfectly fine for 1 green mana. But if a creature's died this turn, you put that card straight onto the battlefield. instead, which is really good, because then it's like half the cost of rampant growth. So yeah, 2 of those is pretty good, I think. A single prey upon. Oh yeah, we get to talk about prey upon. This is great. So this is when fights gets keyworded, like as in a creature deals well, 2 creatures each deal damage to each other equal to their power, which is really, really nice. Really like that fight got keyworded, and it was this really exciting moment. Like, oh wow, like green and red are going to get like, especially green is going to like get essentially targeted removal, which it never did, and it's going to matter. It's going to be really flavorful. I really like that fight got kind of keyworded this way, or used as a mechanic. Prey upon is really great, I think, for 1 green mana, just to make a creature you control fight another one. Again, this is almost going to guarantee at least 1 creature dies, right? Because you can use this with Typhoid Rats and the Ambush Viper to just do targeted removal, essentially. Really, really good. Really like Prey upon. Shame there's only 1, but like it's really great. Really like it. And a single Make-A-Wish, so 3 in a green, to get 2 cards at random from your graveyard back to hand. So again, with the random returning from your graveyard, there's a lot of that in this deck. But yeah, this is perfectly fine. I think like at 4 mana to get 2 cards back, and it can be anything, I suppose, which normally there's a little bit of restriction on it, I suppose. But yeah, I suppose this is okay. Yeah, unfortunately, you can't really. There's not really any graveyard removal. You can't really like manipulate it enough, so you definitely get what you want. But I think it's fine. Single Altar's Reap, 1 in the black. As an additional cost to cast it, you have to sacrifice a creature and you draw 2 cards. This was pretty good at the time because, again, it's like a guarantee, like, well, I need a creature to die for my morbid effects. Well, I'll do Altar's Reap and then I'll sacrifice 1 of my creatures. Then I'm definitely going to get a morbid trigger and also draw 2 cards. And the fact it's instant speed is really good because you can just do it in response to an opponent targeting a creature with a removal. You'd be like, well, I'm going to sacrifice it to this and draw some cards. So, yeah, really good card, I think. 2 dead weight. I really like dead weight. It's 1 black mana for an aura that gives -2/-2, like really cheap for like what this does. Like -2/-2 is like can really like cripple a creature, I think. So yeah, this is pretty good. There's 2 of these, and then a single Doomblade just for a bit more straightforward removal. A single Naturalize for a bit of kind of extra utility to get rid of artifacts and enchantments. 2 Rampant Growth, which is pretty good. Actually, quite a lot of land searching because you have the Caravan Vigil and you've got 2 Rampant Growths as well. We all know what Rampant Growth does. And a single Demon Male Hawbuck, so 4 mana equipment. Equipped creature gets +4/+2, which is a really big boost. And the equip cost is to sacrifice a creature. Which is again really what this deck wants to do, like sacrifice a creature to ensure a morbid trigger. So yeah, pretty good. And then 13 forests and 11 swamps. So what could have been? Again, I'm going to say this pretty much. I think with all the Innistrad decks, this deck's pretty well put together, I think, and I think it's going to really be like this going forward. That the decks are usually put together pretty well now. I guess one thing that it could have used is some sort of token generator. Like you could have used, I suppose you could have had Jade Mage in here from M12. That would have been pretty good. But yeah, let's just talk about the cards in the set that could have been suitable. So I was thinking Spider Spawning. So it's 4 in a green, it has flashback, and it just makes a bunch of spider tokens. You're probably going to have a lot of creatures in your graveyard, so you make a bunch of tokens, and then tokens are perfect for sacrificing to get morbid effects and stuff. So yeah, this would have been, I think, pretty good. Creeping Renaissance, I thought maybe could have been one of the alternate rares. So 3 and 2 green, you choose a permanent type, and all cards of the chosen type from your graveyard by hand, so just get all your creatures back. But and it's got flashbacks, so you can do it twice. This like maybe would have been okay. I mean, you sacrifice your creatures, Creeping Renaissance, get them all back, cast them again. Just this is kind of like for a longer, grindier game, I think. And I thought maybe Abattoir Ghoul, so 3 in a black, just a 3/2 with first strike, which is really weird to see on a black creature. Honestly, or it's rare. And whenever a creature dealt damage by it this turn dies, you gain life equal to time. So this could have been okay, just because again it's something that cares about creatures dying. But overall, I do think what's here is pretty good. Honestly, I really like the theme of morbid. I did put together a black-green morbid deck back in the days, and really had a lot of fun with it. Like it's very satisfying to sacrifice creatures, or just kind of swing into opponent, not really care if stuff dies, because then main phase 2 you're going to cast a bunch of morbid spells which have like extra increased effects. So yeah, pretty fun. So yeah, I like this deck a lot, honestly. But I'd really like to hear what other people think about this one. If you have any thoughts, stories, comments, opinions about this deck, stick a comment below. Always like to read those. But yeah, overall, I think this one was pretty good. So we're going to move on. I'm going to look at another Innistrad intro pack. But until then, thanks for watching and listening. Have a great day.